the initial consult is really just there to make sure that we really can work together. And
Sure.
it's a good project for us. And basically, we just want to make sure that we're the right fit for you. Like we can bring enough value to the table. Welcome to the Renovation Situation Show. I'm your host, Joe, and I have a co-host,
Todd from Chicago over here.
Nice. And I think today we're going to talk about free estimates. Is that right, Todd?
That's what we're going to talk about.
All right, let's get into
Give
it.
them, don't give them.
Yeah. Do you give them? Should you? I think everybody would know my answer on that. Yeah.
No.
Okay. So right off the bat, let's just start here. Do you have free estimates? Do you give free estimates, Todd?
Yes, I do, depending where they come from. That's what I'll say. It's contingent, right? It's contingent for me. So,
okay.
Me operating the way I operate, if I get a phone call from an interior designer I work with regularly, I feel like they've already kicked the tires a little bit. They know if this is a viable project, if this is most likely going to go through. I feel like I'm not wasting my time. I'm going to walk through with them. I will gladly give a free estimate. Now, that free estimate is not a nicely typed up proposal that is bullet pointed and this is what you're agreeing to and everything. I am giving you a estimate. It's just an estimate based on the scope of work, based on the walkthrough, based on what we're looking at. You're going to be around here. And then we can dial that in if you want to move forward and I can spend some more time. But in that quote free estimate, I'm probably giving about, I would say total between a walkthrough and putting some numbers together, I'm probably giving away about 5 or 6 hours of my time. If I was to do like let's say a kitchen remodel or a bathroom, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so explain to me a little bit. Well, all right. So let me answer my own question is no, I do not give free estimates. I don't care who it is or how long I've known you. It's been a very long time since I've given a free estimate.
Sure.
Okay. So explain to me a little bit about your free estimate because it intrigues me that you're like, I understand from your point of view that you're going to give free estimates because based off of your relationship with like a designer brings you a kitchen remodel and you're like, okay, I've worked with this designer before. So I'm all in and I understand that point of view a little bit. But to I want to see where are you drawing the line? Because you said that you aren't giving too much information, but you have to be giving enough information in order to give an estimate. And then, so that's part A of the question. And then part B of the question is then how much information are you collecting before you give said free estimate? And then I guess there's a third part is once you give that estimate, how accurate is that estimate? Because I'm sure at that point, you haven't received all the information at that point.
Right. True on all accounts. Everything you just said is true.
Yeah. So enlighten me on how this works.
Okay. So I'll give you an example. Because you being design build format, you guys have your MO. Everyone has their systems in place, right? So me being more independent, like I feel like I have a little more freedom, a little more leeway in the way I operate. And what I've learned, at least in the past few years, is I work with probably about 6 or 7 interior designers regularly, and they all operate slightly differently, right? So I feel like I've spent a lot of time learning how they operate. They know how I operate. So for instance, I just went to look at a kitchen remodel, and it's not a full kitchen remodel. It's more of an upgrade. They have maple cabinets as is. So they just want them spray finished, new countertops, new plumbing fixtures, new backsplash, new lighting, floors are staying, painting the place, and then new appliances. So I look at something like that and I say, okay, that's pretty cut and dry, right? There's not going to be a lot of surprises there. I'm not ripping up the floor.
Sure.
We're not changing the layout. We're not reinventing the wheel here. So something like that, I know I can go through there. The interior designer already has elevations drawn up. She already knows what she wants to do. She's just at that point pretty much picking colors, picking a countertop, and picking a backsplash. I don't much care what you do for countertops. I'm just going to give you an allowance based on typically what people are doing, and I'll ask that question while I'm there. Usually people are doing quartz, If you like quartz, or if you're looking for something a little more exotic, a little more high end, we can go that route. But otherwise, I'm going to include quartz. Knowing that square footage, this is about where you're going to be based on previous projects. A backsplash, I'm going to look at that and say, unless you're doing something that's some sort of ornate pattern or something that's natural, where I'm going to have to seal it and spend some more time going through cuts and patterns and everything else. If you're doing a subway tile, I know what that's going to cost, right? Spray finish, I literally will take that picture, the elevation she has, send them right to my painter. Hey, price this. This is what we're looking at. He'll give me an exact price. So you're getting a pretty knowledgeable, detailed price until you pick your backsplash and you pick your countertops and you know for certain, right? But otherwise, that's pretty, it's pretty straightforward. So you're getting a pretty solid estimate. But I have two forms. I have my estimate, which is, and I say on there, don't sign this. It's just an estimate. Don't sign it. And then I have the agreement, right? Which is going to be, the estimate's 2 pages as opposed to the agreement, which is 10, 12, 15, who knows, depending how big the project is, right?
Yeah.
So
is the estimate used just to kind of ballpark?
Yeah.
Just to give them an idea of what you might think this is going to cost if you continue down this road with your designer.
Yeah. And I'll tell people this is what you're looking at. You're going to be in this realm, and it's going to really depend on what you're picking selection wise, where this goes. It could go up, it could go down, but you should be somewhere in that ballpark. If you're comfortable with that, we can sit down and talk details, and we can put together, a full scope of work. If I need to walk through with my plumber and my electrician, everybody else, then I'll walk through with them. But at that point, you're paying me something, right? I'm not going to waste my plumber and electrician or everybody else's time.
Okay. All right. And how much time are you spending on that estimate?
The initial estimate?
Yeah. The initial estimate that they are not signing, the one that you say do not sign.
Right. For something like that, let's say it was like a job like this where it was a kitchen upgrade, I probably spent 4 or 5 hours total.
Okay. And this is new cabinets, countertops, backsplash, but nothing's moving. Cabinets. All the plumbing is staying in this. What's that?
Spraying these
spray cabinets.
Yeah, because they were maple cabinets anyway, so we're just spray finishing them and done. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just a kitchen refresh then.
Right.
Okay. So 4 or 5 hours you've spent for free to give them a ballpark.
Right.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. In your example there, I'm walking into a kitchen. My ballpark, I spend about, in fairness, maybe an hour, and it's with the customer in person. And then I will present a what's called like a third-party story, which I'm calling that just here's an example of a project that's similar to yours that I have done. Mm-hmm. And then I show them a rendering or a layout or some photos that we've done. And then I tell them this is how much it costs.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's
makes
that's
sense.
it. I don't say how much your project's going to be, because at this point we don't know. We don't do allowances and stuff like you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to know they're prepared to spend that amount of money, so you're not wasting your time.
Yep.
Makes total sense.
And I'm giving them a real world example. So
sure.
It's fair.
Yeah.
And I spent maybe an hour looking at their information that they've given us, and I've prepared it ahead of time when we have our initial consult.
And that makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing something similar, except you're probably have already been on site.
Yeah. I'll waste my initial couple hours, like I said, when I know that's coming from someone that I work with, right? Because with everyone being
sense, because you're trying to hold on to that relationship.
Yeah. With everyone being independent for me, it's all independent designers. I look at that as that's my outside sales source. That's my outside sales staff. So they're out there finding
your outside sales source
projects. So I'll go look at it. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the build design situation. Yeah, absolutely. Right. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, man, I thought they were going to go a different way.
Well, no, I mean,
I thought you were going to harp
agree.
on me for giving free estimates.
Well, I mean, do you want me to? I mean, because
No.
I don't agree that you are giving free estimates.
You don't agree that I'm giving free estimates?
Yeah, I don't agree that you should be doing that for free.
Oh, okay.
But I'm very accurate with my ballparking off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are in the same position, then you can just do that off the top of your head. But there's a lot of people that can't. But if you want, back when I was a build design company, I would go visit.
Design company.
Well, we can get into the differences of design build and build design.
Right.
But I'm currently a design build company. But back when I was what I'm considering a build design company, so I would just go into meet a client and or a designer or the designers that I've worked for in the past. And if you want a ballpark, if you want an estimate for me for free, I mean, sure, you can have one. And here it is. I'll give you a verbal blah from the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Done this enough to where I think this is going to be, 300 to, 175. Always give the big number first.
Yeah.
300 to 175. That's what I'm thinking. That's where I'm thinking, based on my experience. I don't know exactly what you're choosing at the moment. I don't know if you want travertine or marble or ceramic tile. I don't know what pattern that's going to be in. We don't know the cabinet layout yet exactly. So there's a ton of things that we still need to sit down and figure out. But, you should be prepared in this range based off of my experience. If you think that's within something that is in your ballpark, then let's move forward. And it's going to cost a design fee to move forward. So our design agreement here is blah, 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 if you would like to move forward with us. But that's the extent of free. And that right there is about how much time I've spent on it.
Okay.
And then
now, if they moved forward with it, let's say they moved forward with that design agreement, even if they didn't go through with you after that, did they own that design? Did they pay for that design? Like, are they free to bring that somewhere else?
They do, and they are.
So that's their intellectual property at that point.
Correct. However,
or rather, you've sold your intellectual property at that
to some degree.
Okay.
Yes. What I am doing now is you have to come to our office for our initial consult first.
Right.
We just want to make sure that the relationship is good. Like, you're a decent human being, and that we can, because we're going to be in bed together for a while. So let's make sure that we can communicate, right?
Yeah. Have some small talk, run a background check on them.
Right. Blood test. So the initial consult is really just there to make sure that we really can work together. And it's a good project for us. And basically, we just want to make sure that we're the right fit for you. Like, we can bring enough value to the table. And that's what before we waste too much of everybody's time and money and everything. So if they say, so we sit down, we ask them about their project, and we ask them about their budget at the initial consult. And then that's where I offer up that third party story. And that story is, here's an example of a project that we think might be similar to yours, knowing that we don't know everything about your project and we're just meeting for the first time, but based off of your survey and everything that you told us on the phone call initially, here's a project, here's the pretty renderings, here's where the finished pictures were. And I think it's going to be in this. It costs roughly $200 to $300.
Sure.
And then you just see what happens. And if that's in the realm of possibility for them, they'll show it, and then you'll talk about the next step.
Okay. So I'm curious, why?
Yeah, because my designer and me are going to your house.
Okay.
So I'm coming to your house full of, and in that hour or 2 hours that I'm at your house with the designer, we will answer any question you have because you paid for it. We will go there. We'll take a look at everything you want to do, and we will offer up as many and as much information as we possibly can. We'll give you all of our thoughts and feelings and, any things that we think might work better or different or not during that hour. So off on a little tangent here, when we used to, when I say we, because when I was in a different situation, and let's just assume you are today, going into a person's home, what happens? More often than not, they're asking, well, what do you think? Can we take down this wall? Can we take down this wall?
Right. Every time they're
asking. If you answer that question, you're offering up information that took you hundreds of hours and experience to learn.
Sure.
You spent an exceptional amount of time, effort, and money to learn your expertise. You should be paid for it.
I agree.
So if you're going to somebody's house and they ask you any question, and if you're offering up any information about what they should or shouldn't do for free, you're giving it away. You go to a doctor's office, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to ask you 20 questions before they come up to a solution or a diagnosis, right?
Probably make me wait.
We're doing the same
for a good hour before they do anything, actually, is what they're going to do.
There's my initial consult.
Yeah.
But just, the point is we're trying to get to that point too. We're trying to ask a billion questions so we understand where you're coming from and what your needs are so we can properly find a solution.
Yeah.
That now we're getting paid for our knowledge. That's why me and the designer will show up at your home and we'll answer any question you have.
Yeah.
We'll come up with problems that we foresee. That's my job. That's, I'm Debbie Downer because my job is to find every problem that I could foresee in the future.
Like in Eeyore.
Yeah. Eeyore. There we go. Anyway. All right. I'm taking that information plus the real world information that I see, plus all the experience I have. I'm going to sit down at your table after we're all done walking around, and I'm going to sit down and tell you, well, this is the range I think we're in.
Yeah.
Would you like to move forward? Worth it. Because
you're a design build. You're going to be front heavy.
That's right.
That because that's what they're paying for. Sure. Make sense.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You're getting everything. But you're getting everything. That's giving you renderings, layouts, measurements. We're coming out to do measurements. And the whole 9 yards. You're getting a trade partner walkthrough. You're getting everything. That's going to be a fixed price, and we're going to know every single thing. There's not one allowance. Not one.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, there will not even be a TBD. I will know your grout color. I will know the wall the paint color, and I will know every spec by that point. And that is yours that's yours to keep.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. And that's fair.
Okay. So you're more than well, and you get all the selections. So every selection you made, I've put it in, not me, my designer has put it in based off of per room, every selection we've made. You'll have a picture of the selection. You have a URL for the selection. You'll have a dimension of the selection. You'll have the finish color of the selection, everything, right?
Yeah.
You'll have a whole list of it if you want it.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Now, if you decide to not move forward in the construction part of it at the end, which no one has done so far, but if you do decide not to, you can take that. It's yours. You bought it. Yeah.
You've been handsomely compensated for it. So even if the project doesn't go through, sucks the project doesn't go through, but you didn't wait.
But we didn't lose any money. We're not making much money, but we didn't lose money either. It's not, we're design build heavily on the build side. The purpose is the production, not the design. So we're not built to profit heavily on the design part. We're just trying to make sure that we don't lose money. We still want to be in business tomorrow.
Sure.
Right? And I think everybody should be compensated for their time. Everybody.
I agree. I guess it's like some of the way I look at that, and maybe it's kind of, some of that's just the formalities of the way you operate, and you guys having, or even your type of business that design builds, style, there's a lot of overhead built into that. So you have to
There's a huge amount of overhead.
Yeah. So you have to be compensated up front, right? Like you can't have a designer just willy-nilly going out and spending time for free. You going out spending time for free. She's going back to the office and doing renderings just to try and sell that. Like you're gonna lose. That's unless you're just have a really high close rate, right?
Right.
Whereas like someone like me, if I go spend a couple hours, I spend a couple hours, and I'm I feel like part of my best sales is me being in your home, right? Because I'm just very comfortable if I'm in your home. Any question you're going to ask me, I've already been asked 100 freaking times. So I look at that as like my sales. That's kind of my sales tactic, is whatever you're going to ask me, I already know. I'm not going to find if that's a load bearing wall or not. Hell no. You're going to pay me for that. But if you have questions, how does this work? How do you operate? Like what kind of materials are you, what are you seeing for this? I'll throw you a bone. I'll sit and chat with you for a while, and to the point where you're so comfortable with me that the next guy that walks in your door is just like, I was much more comfortable with Todd in my house, And I get people that tell me that all the time. And just like, we are just very comfortable with you. And it's like, yeah, good. You should be. And vice versa. I want to be comfortable with you. I don't want to walk in your house and be like, I hate being here. Like this dude's looking at me weird, and the dog wants to bite me, and it's like, this is, no one wants to do that, right? So I feel like that's part of my, and especially if you're walking through with the designer, that's always the way they are. It's always very lighthearted. They're trying to sell their design. They're trying to, they have their own little shtick. So I just I'm very good at playing along with that, and I kind of rather enjoy it, if I'm being honest.
I know. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another difference, is that you're working with outside designers and we have inside designer. So we're working with our inside designers. So we have offices right next to each other. And so we can collaborate together on your project a little bit easier. My designer can walk to my office and say, what if I move this wall? What's the implication of that?
Right.
And then me being the estimator, I can say that's going to blow our budget. And if you really truly want to do that, that's fine. But in the design, as the designer, you need to mention budget. Well, that's been a very difficult conversation with our designers now, is you have to acknowledge and recognize when you are creeping on that budget. We always like to tell our clients that, or our homeowners or potential homeowners, that our designers could outdesign any budget. We need to know where we can draw the line, because where are we drawing that line? Because if I let them go, we're going to have the Taj Mahal by the time we're done. Just letting you. Yep. So that's the expectation. Right. So that's part of the budget conversation.
Sure. Right? It's a very important conversation. Very important conversation. So I just went through that.
So I make our designers, if you start adding things, you start moving things, then you have to follow that right up with, this is not budget friendly.
Yeah, agreed.
You don't have to be specific. I'm not asking you to tell them how much it's going to be.
Sure.
That's not your job. I don't want it to be your job. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable at talking about money. They shouldn't either. Right. I just want you to mention it, because when we have that investment conversation, I want them to be fully aware that you've already mentioned to them that this might be creeping, a budget creep. So it's not a surprise. That's all and we're there now. So it's working pretty good. But
I just had that conversation today with a designer who's been, I will say, selling this project in Hinsdale.
Todd, hold on 1 second. It looks like I lost my battery.
Your webcam's busted.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Are there?
I see it. There he is. Yeah. So I just been through a very similar scenario. I had someone who knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which she's awesome. I love her. But she's been quote selling this project in Hinsdale for like 5 months. right? Like, I mean, I literally went and met her originally. Same thing. Hey, Todd, we have a master bathroom, complete gut, adding a laundry room on the second floor, dormering this out. So I said, sure, I'll meet you over there, take a look at it, walk through it, just meet the, meet and greet, spend an hour. Fine. They gave her free reign. And to
you
your
never
point,
give a designer free reign.
Yeah. To your point, it was the Taj Mahal. It was, and she did she made it looked beautiful, I mean, just floor to ceiling stone walls, all the whole back shower wall, just, curbless, just niches, cool ass shower systems, rain head, shower head, everything, So by the time she was done, this was like I don't even know if there was a final number on it. It just kept going up, kept going up, kept going up, and it got absurd. And the owner finally just said, he's like, we're not spending this much money. So she goes, okay, well, no one told me how much you wanted to spend, so I just kept making cool stuff. So I just laughed, just thinking that's just what she was honest, It was like, so you got to appreciate that. She was completely honest, just like, no one told me. So I just kept drawing cool stuff. And I figured you're going to tell me where that limit is. So that limit has dwindled down. And I even talked to her yesterday about this project. And now we're at a point where she's just like, okay, we need to get numbers together. We need to get this stuff together to see what they can do and what they can't do. And I was like, okay, here's how much they want to spend. I'm like, Stephanie, take the skylights out. They're not going to happen. Take the in-floor heat out. It's not going to happen. I'm telling you this, if they want that budget, if this is where they want their budget to be, take these things out. They're frivolous, right? You don't need a skylight in there. You have 2 windows in your bathroom. You don't need the skylight. You don't need in-floor heat. It's a second floor bathroom. It's not freezing cold floor. If they want to spend the money on these things, I'm happy to do these. But if they want to really keep to their budget, this is how this happens. You you need to take these items out. Otherwise, they're going to end up with, if they want the skylight, they want the in-floor heat, you're compromising somewhere. So what are you doing? Do you want cheap shower system? Do you want cheaper tile? It's up to you where you want to spend your money. That's not my call. It's your house, right? But someone's got to your point, someone needs to have that conversation with them and say, look, where do you want to cut costs? What's important to you? However you want to look at that, whether you're looking at it as resale value, whether you're looking at that as creature comforts, because that's your everyday bathroom. Do you have a list of must-haves versus wants? Someone needs to get that criteria together and make those decisions. And that's not me. I'll build it all day, but I'm not going to babysit you and hold your hands and make all those decisions. That's the designer's job.
So whose responsible is it then?
The designer. You ask me.
So you want the designer to build the budget?
Yeah, absolutely. It's her client. It's her client. It's her project. So the way I look at that is that is your client. You're taking them shopping. So you're going and doing all the babysitting.
And you're one of the departments.
Yep.
She's going shopping, and you're a department that just needs to stop off and get your price, and then she needs to add it into the whole kit and caboodle and
what
present.
I would tell
and then
her,
is she presenting the whole contract and everything then?
With me there, yes. But what I would tell her is,
interesting.
I will give you flat construction costs. If this is what we are building, if we're gutting this and we're dormering this out, and we're a couple little partition walls, and plumbing needs to be here, electric is there, whatever it might be, I will give you construction costs. That's fine. Those aren't really going to change. But the frivolous things, if you want in-floor heat, I'll put that in there as a line item. Skylights, I'll put in there as a line item. Shower systems, you need this elaborate, I forgot what that Kohler thing is, but it's got all this crazy, I don't even know what different kind of sensors in it, and it's
you mean the toilet?
No, for a shower system. It's all
shower system.
Electronic.
Oh, geez,
there's aromatic stuff that gets released, and then they wanted a steam shower. Okay, price just went way up if you want a steam shower. And
you said you're line iteming all these things?
In-floor heat, I would put in there as a line item. Skylight, I would put in there as a line item. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'd rather have it all just in one nice, neat little package, and here's your price. Here's your lump sum price. But if you want to go through it and really get a budget together and see what you need and what you don't and where you can dial back. I'll give you a line item on all those things. I'm fine with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this works for you. Wow. It's so much work.
Not really. It's like, here's the square footage. I call my electrician and say, hey, how much would you charge to put in a floor heat system? Here's the square footage. Here's the layout of the bathroom.
Yeah.
He shoots me a price back. Yeah. That's not really that much work. Same thing with the roof.
I didn't mean it that way. It's just
the back and forth of it.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Which you're right. And that is a lot of back and forth. You know, if they did start going back and forth, well, what if we do this and we don't do this? And what if we take this out? And you're right. That can turn.
Oh my God. It's nickel diming. Yeah. It's a lot of money. Yeah. And Jesus, it's like, well, and then you'll start getting questions like, well, why is plumbing so expensive, or whatever your line item is? Why is that so expensive? I went on Google and Google says it should be this much.
I always love that. I always love that conversation.
Yeah. I don't have those conversations.
No, nor do I.
No.
No, that's not a conversation we're having. Do you want me to go find a plumber on Craigslist and let him work on your house? Then you'll find out why my plumber was so expensive. You know, we'll find out the hard way.
All right. I got a question, and let's turn the boat here a little bit, because I want to give everybody a chance to like hear an idea or a takeaway or a chance to upgrade what they're doing now. So we were talking about free estimates. In your position where you are now, how do you think you can charge for your estimates? I'm trying to think about how I want to say this precisely so I get the right answer out of you.
You think I'm going to dodge the question?
No. I just want to make sure that we're adding enough value here. So the takeaway at the end here.
Listening intently.
Yeah. If and I'm going to answer this question as well. If people that are listening right now, if you are giving free estimates currently, if you are giving free estimates now, and Todd, you said you are in certain circumstances, how can they or you stop doing so tomorrow?
I think like anything, it's just a matter of perceived value, right? So if someone was to call you and say, we want to do our kitchen, the answer to that is, I'm happy to come out and give you an estimate, but you're going to phrase that in terms of, at least to me, the way I'm seeing this is, it's more of a consultation, right? So we charge X number of dollars for for me.
When is this conversation happening? Is this the initial
on the
phone call?
Yeah, initial phone call for sure. That's the way I operate. If it's a cold call that I get, that is the way I operate. So if someone says we want to remodel our kitchen, and say, okay, well, I'll come out and look at your kitchen. I'm going to charge you X number of dollars just to come out and actually look at your kitchen. So I want to see what pipes you have coming in. I want to look at your service panel for your electric. I want to see your actual home and say, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. Here's the age of the house. So I have some insight as to what that project looks like. And then you're getting feedback as to, okay, you have copper pipes, you have PVC drains, or you have galvanized, or, your electrical panel is already overloaded. That's going to be an issue if you want to do this. Like you have some subfloor issues, whatever it is, right? So I feel like if they value the service you're providing, they're going to be happy to pay that because they know they're getting something in return, right? They're getting an education, So I think that's the answer, is just being able to say, like, I guess similar to if you guys are selling a design, you're selling a design. That's something that they can take with them in the event it doesn't work out. There's no ill will there or something, as opposed to me, I would come out and it's going to be a little more concrete. And I'm more concerned with the existing, right? Like, what am I up against if I'm to remodel your kitchen? And if I'm giving you that insight, because the average homeowner, let's be honest, doesn't really know that much on home, if I'm being honest. If you're giving them a little bit of an education on that, and then showing them how you operate, what you would do, or in what capacity you're able to do this, that, the other thing, then I would feel they would value that and pay you for your time. Is that the answer you're looking for?
Yeah. I was just looking for a little bit more detail. But yeah.
Okay.
All right. So here's what I'm thinking. It all depends, obviously, on the situation that you're in. So if you are similar to Todd, where we are a build design, we're a owner operator possibly, or we are somewhere in that neighborhood and we're still doing free estimates. My way out of that when I was there was still take that initial phone call. All right, that phone call comes in. I want to do a kitchen remodel. Great. You try your darndest to ask qualifying questions and make sure that they are an actual decent,
not just a tire kicker
project for you. Yep. And you do your due diligence that way with your phone call and your questions, and then and if they pass that test, which is the initial phone call, then you make an appointment to go to their house. This is not at all what I do now, but let's just say we're starting out. So, and this is how I did it when I was starting out. So they call, I qualify them on the phone. Sounds great. This sounds like a great opportunity. I'm also talking about budget on that phone call.
Okay,
and
sure.
If you're not, guys if people out there, if you're not, you need to be talking about budget.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Often. Always. And that's a whole nother segment of how bringing that topic up. But you need it. If you're doing this enough, you should know that you can't go into a bathroom under X dollar amounts in your neighborhood or however you're doing it. Take a look at some data on your own data and find out how much the last 3 bathrooms took and it cost you. You got an idea.
Of course.
All right. So, all right. So it sounds like if it's in your wheelhouse, everything sounds like a great project, then you make an appointment to go to their house. You go to their house, right? And then that's where you walk into their house. And the first thing they're going to do is, hey, everybody, I'm Joe. I'm here from so-and-so construction. I'm great. Awesome. What's the first thing they want to do? They want to walk you through the house. Right?
You were never that chipper walking into a sales call. I've been on sales calls.
Never. But the homeowner's gonna want to walk you through the house, right?
Of course, yeah.
They're gonna want, oh, great, come and check out my kitchen. I got to show you that I want to do this. I want to move the refrigerator over here, and I want to hang shit from the ceiling, and I want to do this and that, and I want to move the cabinets over here from over there. But no. You gotta grab control of the conversation. So you can say, sounds all great, but can we first sit down and kind of just get to know each other a little bit? Is there anywhere that we can sit and go through shit?
Yeah.
All right. So you sit down, you go through your spiel, and we can talk about what our spiel should be later down the road. This is all for free, by the way, at this moment. And you've given up no information. All you've been doing at this point have been asking questions. You asked your qualifying questions on the phone, your initial consult. Then you went to their house, and this, by the way, works whether you have inside or outside designers, wherever your designers are. If you have no designers and you're the designer, this all works. So you sit down at their house and you ask more questions about their project and mainly where they're coming from and why do they want to do the project and all those things. Okay, so then
is it resale value? Are they going to be there for 2 years or 20 years?
Then
the forever home.
Then now you have control of the conversation. Okay, now at this point this is all still for free. You get up, you go look at the house. They show you their space. You're not taking measurements. You're just listening to them. Tell me what this space is to you. Tell me how you envision this space after we're done. What are the things that are bothering you the most that you think that we can, fix or accomplish or remedy? All right. Then you go back and you sit down again. All right, let's go back and let's sit down and talk about all the things. And then at that point, you go, okay, what did you say that you thought that this project, what did you think this investment for this project was going to be? Or
10 grand.
What are you prepared? Or 10 grand. Great. So
goes out the door.
That's your opportunity there right? And there's many different ways to combat well, I'm not telling you, or those kind of conversations, right? But let's assume that you're beyond all that, and you get to a conversation where their dollar amounts or their investment is realistic. Let's just assume their investment is realistic, because if it isn't, then you just need to politely say, no, I'm not the right fit for you. Let's just go. I'll give you Todd's number, right? But if they are in line, right, then let's talk about next steps. And our next step is our design agreement. I don't care what stage you are in your company right now. If you're doing free estimates, your next step is offering a design agreement. Okay, so let's do a design agreement, and it's 2%, 5%, 7%, whatever. Do a percentage. Let's just start there off of whatever ballpark, whatever their investment is. So in the investment amount, let's be clear, is a collaboration between you and them. They say $10,000. Todd says it's $10,000. I say, well, $10,000 a little light. Here's my third party example based off of the information you've given me, where we've done a project very similar, and it's come at $50,000.
Right.
And here's an example. And you can have your laptop with you. You can show them a rendering or a photo, or you can do this on your phone, whatever, depending on what level you are, how much we share. And then now it's not you telling them, it's you just showing them reality. You're showing them an example. You're not the guy telling them. And this information isn't just coming off the top of your head, which it used to, and that used to work. But I feel like that doesn't work anymore across the table. You have to come with an example.
Sure.
So back it up, right? So here's an example of this project, very similar to yours. Here's the similarities. Here's the differences. But this project was $50,000. Is that something that you think is feasible? And then you just feel them out. Don't even ask that question. Just see what their reaction is. Sure. The best form of sales is keeping your mouth shut, and then see what they say, right? The whole point that I'm trying to make here on this free estimate is I'm trying to give you a roadmap to the point where you can say the next step to finding out how much this is really going to cost is getting an estimate done. And to do that, we need to enter into a design agreement. This includes people like Todd here, who are a build design company that have an outside designer. Even though they are in a design, we can still say, well, yes, I understand that you have a designer, but there's a lot of information that I still need to acquire. And I still need to work with your designer moving forward from this point, so we can collaborate together in your best interest to finish off the project and get it to the point where we can accurately predict and accurately give you an estimate. Otherwise, at this point, it's all fluff in the stuff. Nobody knows how much this is going to cost. Yeah, man, you said yourself you give a bunch of allowances. Yeah. Well, you might as well just say, oh, it's going to be time and material. You might as well. I mean, nobody knows anything. So that's an example of how, if you're giving free estimates right now, you can bridge that gap. And I have to say, 10 years ago when I was doing this, I started at 2%. I mean, I know inflation has changed a lot, so you got to do whatever number works for you. But if they agreed that $50,000 worked for them, then you say, okay, let's go. My design agreement's going to be 2% of that $50,000, and boom, there you go. You have an agreement, set up your design agreement already, and you just fill in the dollar amount, and you're offering up some renderings, maybe a layout. And what you also are doing is selecting stuff with them. You're going to maybe the tile store with the designer or with them, because
I am,
but you could, because you're getting paid for it now. Yeah. Anyway, it's an option. It's a chance. It's a thought. It's see what it works for you.
And that's all it comes down to. You gotta find out what works. You gotta find out what works for you. I mean, I agree 100%. You should get paid for your time. You should get paid for your knowledge. You should get paid for what it is you do. You know,
I think you should. So everybody out there in the real world land, stop giving free estimates. What about you, Todd? What would you say?
To me, it's part of sales. Like it's just part of sales. And that's different from like I don't go home and do designs and figure things out for people and do any of that legwork until I'm getting paid for it, you know. But if you know, like I said, most of the time it's through design. Every project I have right now is through an interior designer. All of them.
Yeah.
You know, so that legwork is already done. So they've had that conversation already. They've already said, okay, this is going to cost about X number of dollars, or they're just charging for their design fee up front. Here's their consultation, this is what it's going to cost for renderings, and then bring me in to actually walk through it, look at it, and actually put solid prices to what it is they want to do, you know? So that's why to me, it's more like those tire kickers are already gone. They're I don't deal with them, period. I don't deal with any tire kickers. These are already all viable projects. If you've already gotten to that point where you've paid an interior designer to get that far, in my mind, you're 90% you're going to do that project. You're 90% you're going to do that project, you know? So I look at it like that. I like the legwork's done. They've already vetted this client, and then I'm coming in and just giving my expertise on this is what this looks like now. This is how we make it look like that. You're going to be about this number. If that sounds reasonable, let's sit down and really figure out some details and get it done. So it's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit different. We're doing similar things, but it's a little bit different because you guys are a lot more systematic, I think, than I am. And that's partially because I deal with different outside sources, right? What'd you lose? No. Did you leave?
Sorry.
That was abrupt. You all right? What'd you drop? What'd you lose?
Okay. Sorry.
No worries.
Dog had a little, doing a little throw up situation.
No, throw up.
Yeah. No. Yeah. He drinks too much water. Yeah.
That's okay.
Sorry.
So anyway, I don't know. It's always interesting just how different people operate and what works for them, and you know. There's also the idea of charging retroactively for that, right? So it's like you've spent your time.
Good luck.
If you I'm not saying that's a line item charge, and you say, hey, remember when I came out to your house 2 months ago? Like I'm going to charge you $650 for that.
You're sneaking that in the construction contract, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you could do that.
I'm just saying it's an option. You know, or if you feel like that person's, I still have a little thing on my spreadsheets. It's just the PITA, just a pain in the ass fee. If you feel like that first consultation is going to be a pain in the ass, this person is going to be difficult to deal with.
Everybody charges me that. Yeah, I'm the biggest.
So much money.
Yeah. Anyways, I want to end this with just, you know, if you are out there charging free estimates,
I like how you're talking to an audience.
Stop.
I like how you're talking to an audience. I got to get used to that.
Well, yeah, there's two. Your dad and my dad, they're probably listening. That's about it.
And my dad can't even hear.
Yeah, only if my dad's wearing his hearing aid. Yeah,
2%. My dad lost his hearing aid behind the couch a couple weeks ago. It's just a lost concept. Yeah, lost concept.
No, but no, seriously, that's a way out. That's how I did it.
And that's a very solid way out. I agree.
That's a way out. And we're doing so much more, and it's quite more elaborate now, but it's one way where, you know, it worked for me for a long time. I had outside designer like you, and she would charge her initial design fee, and I would charge my initial design fee. And, you know, and then here's another idea out there is to sell this initially is if you're charging the 2%, right? Or charge whatever percentage it is. Let's say it's 2%, or let's say it's 5%, or whatever percent you decide to choose. And it doesn't have to be a percent. It could be my designer had a flat fee. Yeah. Whatever works for you. You could say at the end of the design, you go through the design, you find out as much information as you want. and you have as many allowances in your contract as you want. Initially, when I first started this process, I had a handful of allowances. Most stuff was hard, but some things were allowances.
Okay.
I currently write up my contracts now with no allowances. I don't have one allowance. There's not one. You are truly getting a fixed price from me. But back in the day, I had allowances. Do whatever you want. But at the end, when you present your contract, you can say half of the design fee will go towards the construction contract.
Money invested.
So it's money invested, and that way the homeowner doesn't feel, and you can tell them that when you sell the design agreement, so that can also lessen the blow. And so I think that is that might be a nice little crutch for you to get over the hump of free estimates, because that will bring you into like introducing the idea of charging for your time. And once you start charging for your time, you start realizing that you're worth it, and you start realizing that people will pay for it. All you have to do is ask.